Hello, it's Mary Lou. Welcome to my online learning course. This course is designed for high school students. I am the school library teacher. I do have standards that I'm required to teach the students. However, I don't see classes on a consistent basis. So I do think that having this online learning course will actually be something that is helpful for the school librarian. This is a course that students could take in like a freshman seminar type situation, or they could work on it in their own classes. So let's get into it and kind of view what this looks like as a student. And I will say that relative to the community of inquiry framework, what's a little bit unique about the maybe library learning experience is that I'm also really trying to have not only an instructor presence, but also a social presence as well, in the sense that I'm really trying to get students to engage not just with the library and not just with each other in kind of a community of learners, but to really get them to be comfortable with the librarian and how the librarian can actually be their partner in research. So we've created 3 modules, and the modules focus around 3 of the standards: accessing information, evaluating information, and using information. I did really like using Canvas because Canvas was very easy to add alt text to any images. And when I ran the assignments through the assistive technology tools that we use, everything sounded great, looked great, translations worked, and all that good stuff. So they're going to start with a little poll, a little survey, just to kind of get going, get a little bit comfortable, and that's going to obviously help me figure out like who the learners are and what they need from me as their library teacher. All of the modules kind of start out with a little bit of a kind of checklist with the objective, a little bit of a preview of coming attractions per se. And then I really took the time to develop a library tour, again, trying to develop that social presence with all of the students, even though they don't necessarily see me.
Hello, and welcome to the Weymouth High School Library.
So the structure is basically to have instruction, and whether that is, just instruction that's on the page itself, whether it links to a video. In this case, we're linking to a Pear Deck lesson. There's examples and that kind of thing. And then without kind of going or having too many pieces of instruction, always, every other activity is, the students doing something. And every time there is anything for the students to do, that's going to be graded, even though it's not like a real grade, but there will be an opportunity for students to kind of see how they're doing against a rubric and get some feedback. And then ultimately, it's they have an opportunity to then at the end of the module have some kind of quiz or activity that's a little more culminating. And then what's nice about the quizzes that are right here in Canva is that you can get your feedback right away and know if you had the correct answers or not, which is really nice. So again, the second module, starting out just like the first, there's some video instruction. Then there's, some more, a little more like, hey, think about this, think about that, some kind of thought questions, try this out with your own, try this out with like your own document that you're looking at type of thing. And then we're getting into more of an assignment that you have. So, actually taking some sample sources here, and they're not necessarily this is an article and then this is a TikTok video, and using those strategies and kind of seeing how you did. And again, they're being like always a rubric that's connected to it, so you can kind of see like what the expectation is for that assignment or activity. Again, students do work, and then there's some more instruction. Sometimes they're just tips or tricks, that kind of thing, and then we're kind of ending with, let's take a quiz, let's see how we're doing. And again, same thing with module 3. We've got like kind of a video that really lays out our definitions for us. But then to kind of drive home the point, there's some activities that allow kids to kind of like apply what they're learning, and that kind of thing. So this one is a little bit heavier on the instruction, on the instruction side, and then the quiz is a little bit longer than the other quizzes with 14 questions. And ultimately, we've got some partner work, again, trying to really facilitate community of inquiry model, where we're really trying to have that social presence, not just I'm the teacher instructing you kind of presence, but to really have them recognize that they're going to learn how to do this by kind of doing things together. But what I like about this assignment actually is the idea that they're creating an infographic that they will then create their own with a partner, and then they will vote on their peers' infographics, and the ones that everybody kind of deems the most helpful, most effective, those will actually get hung up around the library and around the school. So there's a little bit of a kind of a real world application for this, but it kind of, forces them to, look at each other's work and really see, what is most helpful, and kind of reinforces that idea that like we all need to help each other out with some of these topics, right? And then ultimately, I really liked the way the choice board came out that we did earlier in the year as one of our assignments. So that is kind of the culminating summative assessment here. So thank you very much for taking this tour. I did, overall feel like I learned a lot. I've never used Canvas before. The learning curve was pretty steep. I redid assignments like so many times, but overall I think that it was fairly easy to use, and I do think that this is something that I'm going to seriously implement with my students. So thank you very much.